Hey everyone, welcome back to the IwEP Network, or if it's your first time,
Thank you for hanging out with us.
thank you so much for choosing this podcast, and feedback is always welcome. So make sure to check the links below for all social media links, audio and video versions of this show, and merch. We look forward to hearing from you and hearing that feedback, and enjoy the show.
And dreams that fall down from the clouds inside my sleep. Sometimes if they are fake, they still dig deep. And when I follow them to the back of my mind, I find that I've gone too far this time. Too far this time.
All right. I hope it's better now.
Is it fixed?
I hope so. Give us a shout out in the chats. Let us know this is good. That's the perks of going live. You know, you never know sometimes, and when you're a one-man show, it's tough. But thank you everyone who quick got in the chat and fixed it immediately and helped us out if it's still working. Yeah, because it's hard to do this sometimes. I don't know how to say it. Let's get the sponsor out real quick, and then we'll say the spiel we said last time. We're good. Thank you, Millie. You're the best. Thank you to our sponsors, Abaddon Tattoo Studios, a unique professional experience nestled in the small town of Pine Grove, Pennsylvania. They provide high-quality tattoos and piercings in a relaxed, professional, and sterile environment. You can check the links below. They have Facebook, Twitter, phone number, call, make an appointment. Instagram's a good way to go with them because they hyperlink all of their tattoo artists on there, and you can go and check all their work and really get an idea what they're capable of. I'm going to be honest, it's one of the only shops I've been to in a long time where it's like, man, I'll let anyone in that shop tattoo me. Like everyone's fantastic. So yeah, and we also did a Patreon. So we do have a Patreon. It's $1 if you want to just get a shout out on the show. It's $5 if you want to get bonus content. Now, as someone who's a Patreon subscriber, what do you think of do you think the bonus content is good?
Yes.
We're trying. I'm gonna be honest. I thought last night's Not Cool in High School bonus episode was really good.
It was good.
It reminded me of an old school episode where we kind of it was more or less us. So when we put a podcast out, if we want to get new listeners, I feel like it's tough because if you come in late, you feel like you're missing inside jokes and you feel like you're not part of the family yet. So if we do like topics, at least you're there for the topic and you can learn about the topic. And if you really want to go back to the old school version, the Patreon's for you. So yeah, it's $5 and you get a bunch of bonus content. So I want to thank Keith Skater, Jennifer Meyers here, or Jenn Meyers, Austin Blackwell, Jay, the Hyrith and Other Words podcast, the PA Pile Driver podcast, and the brand new subscriber, Brad Zalonis. Thank you, man. It means a lot. The Patreon, like they said, you guys are helping us. That it's like a monthly thing. And it helps us get better equipment and makes us do cool things. Now, we did do something very special on, what was it, Bangin' Beers?
Was it Bangin' Beers? Yes.
Yes, Bangin' Beers. So we said, hey, we do a live thing too with those shows where when you're on there, we had like a special giveaway. And on that special giveaway, you won because you're one of 7 people who watch religiously on the Patreon. So we set a code word, and the code word was a $100 gift card to Abaddon Tattoo Studios. So if you're looking to get a tattoo, we got 4 more of these, and we're going to give one out this episode.
Ooh. So
So if you want to win a gift card, all you have to do right now, easy, hit that share button. Share this stream, and then at the end of the stream, we'll let this go for 2 or 3 days. Because I think I have another interview coming up next week. Yeah. By the next, we'll announce the winner next episode. So we'll give you a week to share it, tell your friends to share it, and then you guys can have a chance to win a $100 gift card off a tattoo or piercing. So that's a great deal, and that's because of our great sponsors over at Abaddon. Yeah, and then also check the links below. Follow us on all social media: Facebook, Twitter. I'm trying to get better at Twitter, Instagram, and all major platforms. Now, another thing we did real quick that's news is before, when you listen to the audio versions, it was on Spotify everywhere, and it still is. We're still working on to get the licensing or the distribution for the other places. So right now it's only on Spotify or Anchor. But if you search Interviews with Everyday People, it has its own platform now. I took all 8 episodes and transferred them over to its own platform, and I did that with all 5 shows. So it took me a long time. So if you can help us out by going over Spotify, hit follow, and then if you're waiting for Apple, please do that as well. Reviews, follows, shares, all that really helps us get grow. grow and get us out there for more eyes and attention. So today we have Jen on the show. She has a very interesting story about your little guy,
Alex.
It's like my little buddy.
He is.
And we're going to learn about what his battle that he went through at a young age, and he's still going through.
Yep.
And we're gonna have some beers. We're drinking the Jamba from Fourscore.
That's my favorite one.
Yeah, this is the apricot peach and marshmallow. It tastes like if you had a fuzzy navel and put a scoop of fluff in it. It's pretty fantastic.
It's good.
So yeah, we'll get into the story, and then it is the awareness month of what he has, right?
Congenital Heart Defect Awareness Month.
Yeah.
CHD. It's much easier to say.
I was looking through a lot of the photos and stuff, and boy, that was not easy.
No, no.
To birth a kid and then see them go through what he went through, and it's going to be an interesting story. So we hope you guys enjoy the story and maybe get some insight of what went through with this, and like I said, everyone has that story, and that's the purpose of this podcast. So let's go through the timeline here. You've already had a child.
Yes.
Everything was
Emily
good.
was healthy.
Emily was perfect.
She was 3.5 weeks early, high blood pressure, but she was fine.
Yeah. So the second, your son, you're pregnant your second time with your son. When do you find out that there's issues?
Typically at your 20-week ultrasound scan, when they look over everything, the heart, all the organs, whatever they can see in that ultrasound. So, and I was followed for being high risk last time, so I went to maternal fetal medicine, Montage Mountain. And they're like, okay, it's your 20-week ultrasound, okay, yeah, whatever. So
you did it on purpose because they have concerts there. I know I've seen your game. You're like, put me near Montage. Maybe I can catch some sounds.
Yeah, after my ultrasound, I'll go up the mountain. So after they did the ultrasound, the tech it came in and she said, hey, I saw some stuff I didn't like on there. So the doctor, is going to come in and take a look. And we're okay, So he's looking, and I'm super nervous. I had no idea what he was going to say. And so at the end of the ultrasound, he's like, well, your boy has a condition called hypoplastic left heart syndrome. And that's new I have no idea, because if you don't know anybody that has it, you just don't know. And so of course, panic mode, like I'm in tears, crying, all that other stuff, because I don't know what to expect. I don't know what's going to happen to him. I know if he's okay in there, for now or whatever. So they did do what are those things called? The amniocentesis to see if there was any other defects he could possibly have. All that came back negative. They checked for Down syndrome, this, that, so all that came back negative. But a hypoplastic.
How do they check that?
They stick a needle in you.
Really?
Yeah, on the screen you could see it going in, because they have to look to see so they don't hit the baby. Of course. Yeah, this giant needle goes into your stomach. It's wild.
Holy shnikes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, it was.
That felt awesome, right?
Yeah, it was. It was all scary. Like I just had adrenaline going through my body at that point. So I'm like, whatever. Just do what you need to do, I guess.
Yeah, like Pulp Fiction. Remember when they hit the heart with the adrenaline needle? Like that's nutty. I've actually heard of a situation where I think it might be a personal story, like somebody I knew, or maybe I watch a lot of documentaries and stuff, but the baby had issues and they actually went in and did surgery on the baby while they're still in the womb.
Yeah, they did. I've heard of some hypoplastic left heart syndrome babies, HLHS for short, having that done before they're born because they need intervention right away.
Yeah. That's like they can go in and do surgery on a unborn baby.
Yeah, I'm so glad they didn't say that to me, because I don't know if I could have handled that.
I think they went through the girl's back when they did it. They went through her, like, I could be wrong. That's probably wrong. I don't know. Don't quote me on that, please. Yeah. So initially what that is that the heart.
The heart doesn't develop on the left side. It's the left ventricle is very small compared to the right ventricle.
So this is obviously, if you're listening audio, you're not going to get the visual of this, but if you research it, the right ventricle is humongous and the left one is very, very small. So if you're watching video, this is the purple is the right ventricle, and right above it is the left. So the left is not doing as much work because the right one is larger than the left.
Yeah, the right ventricle does all the work, because the left can't do anything. So because with some cases though, some babies their left ventricle does grow, which is very rare. And I've actually read stories of other mothers having it happen. I'm like, well, maybe by some chance his will grow, but not. I wasn't,
Yeah.
that lucky. So, he had to have 3 surgeries. Oh,
So what do they do in the surgery?
they, it's there's 3 surgeries. What they're now named after doctors. The Norwood, would they basically go in and they redirect all the oxygen rich blood with like a sano. It's called a sano shunt. There's a different shunt, but I can't remember what the name of it is off the top of my head.
Mhm.
But my son had a sano. What that did was it helped with circulation. Basically, is what they're trying to do is get circulation moving, through the lungs and all that through the body, because he was kind of, if you could have seen him before he had a surgery, he was a little dusky, a little not so pink, but after a surgery he was looking much better because of the circulation.
He's not getting good. Yeah.
No.
Not good circulation. You're not going to be as rosy or as pink. You might be
Right,
maybe a little like not like maybe bluish.
Well, it says here, your child will require open heart surgery to redirect oxygen rich red blood to oxygen poor blue blood. After the operation, the right side of the heart will do what is usually the job of the left side, pumping oxygenated blood throughout the body. The deoxygenated blood will flow from the veins to the lungs without passing through the heart. So none of that passes through the heart. It goes
Into the stent.
Yeah, it's weird.
So you're so pretty much is what it's kind of doing is alleviating the job of the heart, because the heart is like a man short, and instead
Right.
of overworking the right ventricle and
Right.
and causing damage, the
Mhm.
stent is kind of replacing that.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
That's crazy they like come up with that. Like medical science is insane.
I want to get the
She's pulling up on her phone here just for the audio listeners. She's just doing a little more insight here. Now, what age was he while you're pulling this up? What age was his first surgery?
He was less than 24 hours old.
Wow.
I had him. He was a C-section, a repeat C-section, because my daughter was a C-section.
Did he go full term?
Yeah, he was 39 weeks. So, which was really helpful for him. He was 8 pounds. I don't know, 6
Now,
ounces.
When I ask this, I'm not trying to sound dark. I'm just trying to put myself in like, was there a percentage like, hey, is this is 100% surgery? Is there a chance that this can go wrong? Like, what, like, was that talked about?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like even before he was born, they gave me 3 options. They're like, do you want to terminate? Do you want to just have palliative care and just let it, or do you want the surgeries? And I'm like, well, I want the surgery.
And give it a shot, yeah.
And that's what we did. We
Mhm.
we went with that, of course. I mean, he's healthy otherwise. So
Yeah.
and he grew. I mean, no other issues. So when they delivered him and they were all checking him out, and he was doing so well, like with his oxygen levels and stuff like that. Dr. Spray, he's retired now from Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, but they came in later on in the day and said, because he's doing so well, we want to operate him tomorrow morning. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm just recovering from my C-section, so I was out of bed later on that night and being wheeled down to see him in the cardiac care unit. So
Yeah.
yeah, that was,
Yeah, when I got diagnosed with my joint disorder, there's different variants, like variations of what I have. And at first I thought I had the 3rd to 4th level. I was it changes every couple years of what level you have, but I was teetering between a 3 or a 4. Now a 4 is your joints, your muscles, and then a 4 could be your blood vessels and your heart. So I had to sit in a room. So before they did anything, they pretty much like, yeah, we're going to diagnose you with this. And they're like, and you may not live to your 30. And I was like, awesome. And I just walked out of the room. I was like, good talk, doc. I'm out of here. But when they sat and did this like an ultrasound on the heart,
Mhm.
and I just had to sit there for like 8 hours, and they just like studied my heart. And thankfully, as of now, I don't have any issues when it comes to that. Well, pretty much what I have is my body doesn't produce collagen. So where your body has the collagen for your joints and your muscles and to kind of keep everything
Mhm.
stretchy, mine are kind of together. Mine doesn't, like your collagen's kind of like your glue.
Right.
I don't produce that. So like where my joints just overstretch, I'll dislocate something,
Ah.
or like I'll throw my back out easily.
Right.
It could affect your eyes at some point. Like, so I don't really know what the future of me holds. So it is really weird when you go to a doctor and you're kind of at their mercy, and they're just like, I don't want to say they're speculating, but obviously a lot of doctors I've learned, they just kind of go on Google search what your issue is, and they come in and like, so you have a 30% chance if we do surgery, and you're just like being in that situation, like hearing that when I was 16, that like I may have a shorter life because of this.
Right.
That's not the case now. They've overturned that, but like to hear that as a 16-year-old kid,
Yeah, I can't.
I couldn't even imagine. Like that's me though. Like I couldn't imagine if I gave birth to a baby, and it's just like, hey, like this is the 3 options, and 1 is not being here. 2, we're gonna try something, but we don't know the chance. Like that's why I asked like the percentages, because like mentally that's got to be insane. Like I can't even put myself in that situation, because it's one thing to be like yourself, but when it's something else, you know what I mean, or someone else, it's a different ball game.
Like right after I had him, they took him like from me, and
So you never got like that moment to hold, or
no. And I've seen where a lot of moms do, which kind of had me like, I mean, he was breathing well, he was crying, so I didn't understand why they had to just take him away if he was okay just for a few seconds, because they didn't do anything right away to him. Like
you said that they waited till the next day.
Yeah, they waited till the next day, but they just, I mean, I guess just
you got no physical contact.
Yeah,
with your kid.
and they brought him to me later, and he had like lines. It's called RA line. It's basically if something happens to the heart, they can jumpstart it. So it's placed in there, and he came back to me with like wires and.
He's a little Motley Crue.
Tubes,
a little kickstart my heart going on. I like that. Kid's a rock star.
So when they brought him back to me, he was connected to wires, and I'm in the bed, and I'm like, I can't. Yeah. You can't really, because I'm sore and I can't really move her out. It's just.
Yeah. When you see people with tubes and stuff coming out of them, it's never an easy visual thing to see. Or like the NICU, like I had a cousin who was born premature, and they had him in that, like I didn't personally go see, but the photos of him in that like
little incubation. Yeah.
It's like, holy crap, like that. That's not an easy visual thing. Like tubes running on. You just had a kid, you didn't get a chance to hold him, and then here you are looking at seeing him, and his tubes and wires sticking out of him.
My husband got to see him though, because he went. They said to just wait a few seconds, and then he went in there and he took pictures of him, and got to touch him and stuff like that. So that was good for him.
What is the age difference between your son and your daughter?
Emily is going to be 5 on the 25th of this month, and Alex just turned 3 on the 11th of January.
So 2 years. They're like 2 year difference.
About 2 year difference.
So she's 2 at this time. So she's not fully aware, but she kind of has an idea what's going on.
Yeah, she just kept wanting her little brother to be unstuck, is what she would say to me. She wanted him to be unstuck from me. So
so she wanted to play.
Yeah, she did.
Like,
she didn't understand when he couldn't do anything. So
I think that's a very important thing to think about this too. Like when you have a child, and obviously we're not even close to the road to recovery yet, but you have another child, and all kids want to do is play. And then there's a lot that's going to go into this in the further half of this conversation.
Yeah.
So first surgery.
It's called the Norwood procedure, and it's typically done within the first 2 weeks of the baby's life. The surgeons create a new aorta and connect it to the right ventricle. They also place a tube from either the aorta or the right ventricle to the vessels supplying the lungs, pulmonary arteries, with the oxygen that they need. Thus, the right ventricle can pump blood to both the lungs and the rest of the body. It can be very challenging surgery. I mean, their heart's the size of a walnut at that point.
And then they're doing surgery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After this procedure, infants' skin may still look bluish because oxygen-rich and oxygen-poor blood still mix in the heart. So he didn't look bad though. You could tell I could tell the difference after he had the surgery.
Yeah.
So. Which he came back with a lot of tube. It was just.
I think Millie said here that the chance of surgery was 50-50. That was what she was saying. The chance of surgery at that time were 50-50. I mean, that's.
And it's
a coin flip.
They told us that. Yeah, they told us. I mean, with any surgery, really. I mean.
Yeah. I mean, I would have taken the coin flip too, because the other option was just termination.
Yeah, and or just to let him be, or
just see what happens.
Right. See what happens.
The coin flip is definitely the choice.
That was our only choice. I wasn't going to do anything else. So
Lisa said that Emily would say her brother has a broken heart.
Yes.
Yeah. But he's going to be a heartbreaker when he gets all that. So first surgery goes successful.
Yeah, we were there for about 2 weeks. 2 weeks, and we were ready to bring him home. He had a feeding tube at first when we came home, but I think after about like a week and a half of being home, he was drinking everything by bottle. So we just. Which is another, they want you to, before you leave the hospital, they want one of the parents to place the NG tube, which goes right into the stomach. So, and that I of course, I'm like, I'll do it,
Well, no, you were in the military.
I was, yes.
What did you do in the military?
I worked in an office. I was basically
Okay, I didn't know if you're like medical or anything.
I was medical, but I didn't really. I never had the chance to work in a hospital. It was supposed to be medical records, patient administration, inpatient, outpatient. It's very good to work in the civilian world, but
you get some. I mean, every soldier gets some basic first aid training and stuff, right?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, but nothing prepares you
No.
to stick a feeding tube down your own kid.
No, not because you can get some resistance if you don't go just right. So that was pretty awful.
Yeah.
But I got it down there, and then you have to test to see if it's actually in the stomach. You have to because there's little things on the side, so you could give them like medicine, and then you have to check.
How do you know if it's in?
Oh, that's what you check the pH levels to see if the stomach acid. Basically.
Oh my god!
you have to get a syringe and pull some of the they just pull some stuff out, hoping it's stomach acid.
Sure,
if not, you have to go.
I would never be able to do that. I would throw. I'm terrible at fluids and blood doesn't bother me. Like if I walked in, not trying to sound gross, but if I walked in and see a pool of blood, I'd be like, that's weird. I could probably clean up blood.
Right.
But if it was a room full of any other body fluid, I'm not having a good time with it.
You just check to see if it's the stomach acid. You pull some fluid out, and hopefully, if not, you just adjust. And once it ends, it's in. It's pretty easy.
Yeah.
To manage. So, when he came home from his second surgery, he had another feeding tube, and I'm like, well, if he pulls it out or it comes out, I'm not going to replace it only because I can get him to drink by bottle. And that's what happened. That first day we were home, it came out because he pulled it out. And I'm like, this is staying.
What a gangster.
I'm like, this is staying out.
Yeah.
You're going to drink by the bottle.
Yeah.
So, and he did. He gained weight really well. So I had no issues.
What age was his second surgery?
3 months.
At 3 months old.
Yes. The same surgeon, Dr. Spray, who did his first surgery, wanted to get his second surgery done. And that's the typical time frame. Usually.
So it's 3 surgeries, correct?
Mm-hmm, yes.
So they do the first surgery first to put the stent in to kind of give the body, the heart, now this is not just research. I'm just from what you're telling me, I'm trying to put pieces together. Mm-hmm. So I don't want people to think this kid, I honestly didn't.
My mother-in-law is very knowledgeable too. So she says something. She has a.
I hope I'm doing it justice. Is what I'm saying. So first surgery is pretty much to put the stent in. That stent's going to do the work of the missing part of the heart or the short part of the heart.
It's going to help. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the second surgery is once the heart's growing, they're going to go in and.
Well, it's called a bidirectional. Well, it's either called a Glenn. Or a hemifontan. Hemifontan gets you ready for the third surgery, which is the Fontan. And Dr. Spray chose to do the hemifontan, which I was more comfortable with anyways. But as usually performed when the infant is 4 to 6 months of age, this procedure creates a direct connection between the pulmonary artery and the vessel, the superior vena cava, returning oxygen-poor blood from the upper part of the body to the heart. So this reduces the work of the right ventricle. Has to do by allowing blood returning from the body to flow directly to the lungs.
Okay, so the first surgery is to help oxygenate the blood that goes into the right ventricle because at that small age, the right ventricle can handle it. As he gets older and the heart gets larger, now the second thing goes in to help alleviate the work of the right ventricle.
Right.
Okay, I'm learning here.
With all that rerouting,
I watched Grey's once or twice.
With the plumbing, they get what they call a Glenn headache, and they could last for a couple weeks. His wasn't too bad, but you could definitely tell when he had that headache because the pressure's changing and all that stuff. And they told us
you can't even imagine, because he can't speak.
No,
tell you what he's going through. It just had to be so uncomfortable. Because when you have if you have bad circulation or a pinched nerve or anything, your body you get colder easier. You thank you for that, computer. I have no idea what that was. I hope nothing's messed up. Audio's still good. Just give me a thumbs up or somebody say something. Where was I at now? What did I say? Oh, bad circulation. And also, obviously, you get that pins and needles feeling because you're not getting blood to your thing. So it's like when your arm falls asleep, what you're doing is you're pinching a blood vessel and nerves, and then you kind of get that dead arm feeling. Now imagine being a baby and you have no idea what's going on. Your whole body probably feels like that. You're just like, this is crazy. You know what I mean? But he can't communicate that. Does Alex have any? Well, we'll get to. So if you have any questions, please put them in the chat, and I will circle back to them. I promise. I want to. So we do have one question.
Sure.
Yeah. So at that point, he's bottle feed. It's kind of part of it. So he's is he on normal formula? Is
he was, and they had me like fortifying it, so to give him extra calories.
Okay.
And that didn't last too long. That was just to help him gain weight. That was actually between his first and second surgery. I was fortifying. They needed to be a certain weight, that stuff. So, kind of hated the fortification. It made him sick, so we backed off on that for a while.
Yeah.
I was giving him formula, but I also pumped, which was they wanted me to do that as much as I can. Which I'm telling you what, it's
if me and Heidi will never cross this bridge, but if I ever walk in a room and she was pumping, I'm gonna laugh. Like it's just all there is to it.
It's terrible. I was up every 3 hours, and it's exhausting. It really is to get next to nothing.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
and you hear it pumping, like, and then my brain's like, I know what's happening over there.
So,
and you're like,
funny story. We stayed in a big suite. It had like one bedroom downstairs with doors, and then upstairs was open, so like a loft. Well, our friends Dale and Michelle came down to visit, and they were gonna, because it was a drive, and they were gonna stay over. And so I'm up every 3 hours, and so they're downstairs on the pull-out couch, and I'm upstairs, and I'm like, sorry about the noise, and I'm trying to put the pillow over I had to get up and do it. So it was funny. They're like, yeah, no, you're fine.
Yeah, pump away up
Okay.
there. Yeah, I always think when I think that Meet the Parents.
Oh yeah.
I have nipples, Greg. Can you milk me?
Movies. Great movies.
Yeah. So second surgery, recovery. What was
we were there only about 10 days, so it was a quick recovery. He did really well. We were able to go home 10 days. So, and then after that, it was just the waiting game of when he needed to have his third surgery, which. In between, when he came home, in between his first and second surgery, he was followed every week by his heart doctor, his cardiologist, and his regular doctor. So every other week, I had an appointment for him to go see a heart doctor, a regular doctor.
Now here's a question, and you don't have to go into like your personal details here. I just want to put in perspective. So you have a child who's going through this. I don't know what you're at the time. You're military, so I don't know. Like
I've been out of the military since 2012. So
okay, so I'm just trying to put in perspective, like if I was in this situation, and I'm like, me and my wife work a 40-hour job, and like say we have a child, and this is going through every week you have another doctor's appointment. Like I couldn't imagine like jobs would were you working at the time?
No, I have been lucky enough. I collect disability from the Army because I'm 60% disabled.
Yeah.
Because I've had 2 surgeries on my sacroiliac joint, but I was lucky enough to stay home. And Alex he's a corrections officer, so with his pay and my disability, I was able to. I still stay home now, but I was lucky enough to be able.
I couldn't imagine just like anyone else who's not disability or something, and then like they're trying to live a normal life. This is where I get really upset when it comes to like healthcare and how much it costs and but we give rich people a lot of money but we can't have better healthcare in this country. Like if you're a mom or a single mom or anything and you're trying to do this and work and pay your bills and then people are like, well, you should have thought of it. Like you didn't think that your kid's gonna have this issue. Like
no,
it's I'm thinking about other people who probably went through this and how difficult this.
I see a lot of single mothers.
Yeah. Are you in like groups and stuff with this?
Yeah, we're called heart moms.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of heart mom groups basically, or there's HLHS, which is Alex's condition, and there's HRHS, which is the reverse. So the right ventricle doesn't develop.
No. Is there like a better version of that you would rather want? Because it looks like it pumps directly into the right and then goes to the left.
They say the hypoplastic right heart syndrome is a lot worse because of with the blood flow, but I don't know, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
so.
I didn't know if that was, well, if they're saying that, then they're right. I don't know what I'm talking about, but yeah. And real quick, I don't want to say like I'm getting political here. I'm just looking at it. I'm not looking at it red versus blue. I'm just looking at it as people. That's how I look at it. I'm not a politician guy. I'm not into politics. I hate all politics. I just look at human thing. And if we're gonna pay taxes, like put it towards us, not making rich people rich.
Right.
Yeah.
No.
So that's my little rant there.
I agree with that.
Yeah. But I'm just trying to like, I was put myself in that mindset of just like, if somebody else is going through this and like they had to work a job, but still had to figure this out. And then like, they're like, you're worried about going to put food on your table, but you're putting a feeding tube down your kid. And then you have to make sure you get another doctor appointment a couple weeks later. Like, oh, That's a lot.
We struggled for a bit there because he was off because he was taking a lot of time off before we had the baby. So like it was like time.
And obviously he wants to be there as the dad.
He does, yeah.
But he can't be there because he has to go and be.
Well, when I had Alex, luckily he was there, but it was unpaid time off, and
which sucks.
Yeah, it does.
Because like I said, like maternity things too. Like it's the mothers get a lot of maternity, but the fathers, I mean, they want to be there just as much for their kids, especially if it's a situation where it's like I'm not saying that this is the case here, but like what if it was even worse situation where it's a day by day thing where like we hope the surgery works,
right?
Like you may wake up tomorrow and it doesn't work, and then we're in a situation, but he has to go to work the next day and he can't be there to help you in this process. Like it just sucks. It's crazy.
But we were lucky enough. I mean, it was unpaid time off, but we managed. We got through it. We had a GoFundMe set up, which I felt terrible about, but then people helped out.
Someone made one for me one time. Thank God no one donated to it. I was so uncomfortable with it.
I have a story for you later. I'll have to tell you that. Yeah.
Okay.
Later.
Yeah. But I'm a stupid podcast. Like you could actually use the GoFundMe. I'm just some guy who talks on a microphone. Like I don't need a GoFundMe. I appreciate the person who did it for me, but I was like, please God, no one find this.
Oh,
yeah.
But yeah, we were lucky enough. We came home, like I said, and my in-laws were a huge help because they had Emily, and I mean they were able to come down at those times for the first 2 surgeries. So and Emily was able to be with us, and they were able to be there, see Alex, be with him, stuff like that. This last surgery,
because now you have a 2-year-old who's not seeing their parents on a regular basis,
right? And we stayed at a
lot of variables to this,
right? Yeah. And we lucked out because we got to stay the second time. We stayed at the Ronald McDonald House in New Jersey. And they don't charge you anything. You could donate if you want. All your meals are provided. They give the kids stuff like toys, gifts, presents, whatever.
They provide schooling for kids. So if they're at an age where they need to be in school, they provide that.
Right. Like they do a lot of stuff.
The Ronald McDonald House is insane what they do. A lot of people condemn McDonald's because they don't serve the most healthy food. But that if they don't like research the Ronald McDonald House,
no,
they do amazing stuff.
I know they do. Yeah. So we were able to stay there, and Emily was able to stay with us for a little while, which was really nice. Like we were able to they gave us tickets to go to the aquarium, which is right there. So take her for a couple hours. Why the baby's because he's still tiny at the time. So I mean, 3 months he doesn't let him rest.
Yeah.
And so we were able to take her to the aquarium for a couple hours and then go see. So they were really good to us. I really like the one in New Jersey. It's in Camden, which
that's a rough neighborhood.
Rough doesn't even begin to cover it, but
yeah.
But it's gated. You have to have a key to get in and out of the gate and stuff like that. So, but we lucked out. We got to stay there the second time. The first time we paid out through the nose. Luckily my in-laws again helped us. Pay for lodging the first time because it was super expensive and there was no help for us. So. And then they're like, well, why don't you look in the Ronald McDonald House? And it's a process. You have to have paperwork filled out, and the doctor has to sign off on it. And then it has to go through a social worker at the hospital, and they have to coordinate the Ronald McDonald House. So, but this last time in May, the end of May, the 25th, I think.
Now, I'm asking a little mental question here. Like, obviously, I know me personally, where I'm always afraid to ask for help or ask for financial or anything like that, and then. Because obviously we live in a society where when someone does ask for help or help in a situation, or I don't want to say handout because it's definitely not, but I mean it is, but it's not. But like we're conditioned to put people down when they need help or government assistance. Like, oh well, no, why am I taking care of your kid? Like no, man, like people need that. Like so, it was that a mental thing going in? Like, there's probably someone who else needs the Ronald McDonald House. Maybe we can do this type situation.
Yeah, that was in my head too. But I'm I was like, I don't think we can afford to stay somewhere.
You're just fighting for your kid to have a normal future,
right,
and survive.
But they definitely had the hospital was phenomenal. Like the social worker there, she helped us out. She was a little flighty, but it was all right.
Yeah.
But yeah, the second time, like I said, we were there 10 days, and we came home, and then we were just waiting at that point. It's because Dr. Spray, like I said, he's the head surgeon there, and he was getting ready to retire. Story. I guess a weird story. My father-in-law's cousin, Allie, her son, I think maybe over 20 years, somebody help me out here. Tyler was his name. He had hypoplastic left heart syndrome.
Is this something that's genetic or is this something?
No, they don't know what causes it. And it was weird because when, that we found out that we had Millie, because she works at the school where Allie works, Muhlenberg, and Allie's like, what did you say he has? And Millie, because, she's like, hypoplastic left heart syndrome. I was like, Allie's like, well, that's what Tyler had. But Tyler developed a lot more issues after his surgery. But Dr. Spray operated on him. So he operated on Tyler all those years ago, and then he operated on little Alex.
Oh, wow.
So he touched both hearts. Which,
he's an OG. He's good at what he does.
Oh, yeah. They're like, you want Dr. Spray? He's the best. And I, read about him. I'm like, yeah, I want Dr. Spray.
Yeah. So he does a second surgery, but he's retiring. So
yeah.
he may not be there for the third.
He wasn't. No, that's why he wanted to do his second.
Yeah.
But we chose Dr. You could pick the surgeons. I mean, you can request one, but we picked Dr. Fuller. Her bedside manner is phenomenal, and she does great work. And so I always heard nothing but good things about her. So when it was getting that time, I'm like, well, we really want Dr. Fuller. And oh my goodness, I have nothing but amazing things to say about Dr. Fuller. Like,
what age is the third surgery?
Well, that all depends. It says right here, it says the procedure is usually done sometime during the period when an infant is 18 months to 3 years of age. But I've seen kids that are like 7 without their Fontan surgery. So, and also I've seen parents like, oh, we're going to wait. But like, I'm like, well, how long do you want to wait? Because they're getting older, which this time for us, it was, I'm not going to say a lot worse, but a lot different because he was older and he understood. And it was just, and he doesn't do well coming out of anesthesia. He just, it's hard for him. He cries and because they don't understand. So he's just very emotional. And so the next day we were at the hospital and he's laying in bed and he wants to be up. He wants to be around, but he's still like sedated. But I tell you what, he got right up and he stood up in the hospital bed and we were like, like in panic mode. Cause we're like, all these wires are attached. We're like, sit down.
I had a hernia when I was a kid and I came out of anesthesia and they had me like in a recovery bed. I don't think anything was attached to me or anything. And I was up running around like, and they're just like, what are you doing? Like I'm a goofball in anesthesia.
Right.
When I went for my last dislocated shoulder before I learned how to put it in myself, the lady at the hospital was like, if you come in here, I'm never putting you under anesthesia again. Cause like I turned into like, I think a comedian,
right?
And people don't think I'm that funny. She was like, she looks at my dad and also my shoulder real quick. My dad's sitting in the room and my shoulder's out of socket. So when my shoulder dislocates, it pops into my chest. So the doctor's like maneuvering me and it pops and my dad just goes, oh, like he said it was the grossest noise ever. And I just go, ooh, like I start laughing. And my dad's like, you're a fucking idiot. So my dad gets up to leave the room to make a phone call because I'm in recovery at this point. And all he hears is code, 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 code. And all these people are running down the hallway. And he's just like, what the hell is that? And he sees them go in my room. So he's like, what's going on? So he runs.
Right.
And I'm just like taking everything off. And I'm like, I'm good. It's in. Look at me. I'm ready to roll. And I'm like under anesthesia taking my heart monitors and stuff.
Oh, my word.
And this lady like body slammed me on the bed. And then I guess when they're leaving, they're like, he can't eat. He can't eat for another couple hours. I'm like, listen, this is my first rodeo. And I'm like, I'm out of it. I don't remember any of this. She's like, it's not my first rodeo. He's gonna take me out of here. I'm gonna get some McDonald's. I'm gonna get a double cheeseburger, McFlurry. And she's like, you'll puke. I'm like, I won't puke. I didn't puke though.
Oh, see, little Alex did. They just wanted him to have some, like, we wanted him to have some food. He's like, I'm thirsty. And that was a bad idea because he had that drink and he threw up everywhere. And then I got sad because I didn't have any extra blankets for him and I started crying to go get blankets. And Alex was like, it's fine. We'll go get blankets. It's okay.
She put in here 21 years ago.
21. Okay. See, I couldn't remember how many years.
Oh, that was the surgery?
Yeah, that was Tyler.
I lost context there. I was like, I don't know what that came from. And then Lisa says here, I remember the third surgery when the riots were happening in Philadelphia. I do remember that. I remember you messaging it. His last surgery wasn't too long ago.
It was May of last year.
Yeah.
End of May, yeah. That was
wow. Wait, when was the concert that I seen we were all hanging out at?
That was August.
Of the same year?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow. All right. So May comes around, third surgery. What is the process of that surgery?
So the Fontan procedure, the doctors connect the pulmonary artery to the vessel, the interior vena cava, returning oxygen poor blood from the lower part of the body to the heart, allowing the rest of the blood coming back from the body to go to the lungs. Once the procedure is complete, oxygen-rich and oxygen-poor blood no longer mix in the heart, and the infant's skin will no longer look bluish. He's pale, but he's not blue.
Yeah.
He's not completely. He doesn't look.
Yeah.
He looks like a little ghost sometimes.
Yeah, a
But
little white. Like he'll fix that with tattoos later. I'm a very white kid.
I'm sure he will.
Yeah. And obviously that's a sick scar, So he had the surgery I'm sorry, one more time. In May.
End of May. Yeah.
I seen this kid a few months later, and you could not keep him from running around the
I
block
know,
party.
right?
Like he's as sharp as a tack. He wants to run. He wants to play. He wants to be a kid. Now, what is there? Like, do you have issues? Like, hey, you can't overexert yourself. Like,
We try. I mean, and it's really hard.
it's hard
at
to
his
tell a little
age.
boy to not
Right.
overexert yourself.
He does get, because of the circulation, he does get leg cramps, which there's nothing, I mean, we can really do about it. Now
He can't really convey those either.
he does. Now he can. He
Oh,
can
really?
tell us. Yeah, the other night he had them because he flies around the house all day. And we're like, hey, once we get him to where a point we can talk to him because he's crying, is it your legs? Yes, my legs. Where? Down here, so he can tell us now where he hurts, which is
So the leg cramps would be because of lack of nutrients and blood going there.
just blood flow, basically. I mean, his blood flow is his hands are cold, his feet get cold.
I do remember when we were hanging out, like if he hugged me and stuff, he was colder than normal.
Yeah.
He's like he's a little vampire.
So we try to not limit his play, but we try to be like, hey, can you calm down a little bit here?
I think he'll learn as he gets older.
Yeah.
Because right now it's just like, I'll worry about the consequences later. Yeah.
And they we were talking to his cardiologist because we were trying to fill out some forms, like his limitations. Like she's like, well, I can't put any limitations on him. You need, that comes from you. Like what? Right now, as far as he doesn't really have it. I mean, he gets out of breath, but I mean, that there's no other limitations.
The only time I've seen him have any limitations is when he fell.
Yeah.
And then he scraped his knee, and then he was like, I'm over this.
He does it a lot.
Yeah. And then your daughter fell a couple moments later.
It's a good time.
Yeah. Yeah. So now you have a 3 and a.
She'll be 5. Emily will be
5 and a 2. 5.
3.
Yeah, 3 and 5. Yeah.
3 and 5.
And obviously, kids want to run and play and stuff, but you're always have to be cautious because
and his chest sticks out a little bit because of the sternal wire, so he's got a bump there. So we've got to be extra cautious with that too. I mean, he doesn't fall a lot. I mean, when he does, he stops himself. So
yeah,
So, but this last surgery is hard because they weren't able to come down, and Emily was away from us.
Pandemic and
yes,
a riot in Philadelphia.
Yes, I was there because Alex and I were taking turns staying in the hospital with them. And Alex was, he left probably around 6 o'clock or something like that to go back to the Ronald McDonald House, and you could see and I could hear stuff happening all around, and I'm like panicking and trying to get a hold of him, and he had to go because they had the one bridge shut down, so he had to go another route and take another bridge, and oh my word.
Yeah, a little burp there.
Yeah,
all right,
that's great.
It happens.
Wow, gotta stop. So he made it there safely, and it was quiet over there. But where I was, like, you could just Hobart. He was downtown that night, and I had no idea who was before. Like, I just thought he was some crazy guy.
He's coming back on the show soon.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But he was down there, and he was live streaming, walking around the streets with buildings burning and windows smashed out, and he's walking by people who are like walking out of the Steve Madden store with shoes, and I'm like, you probably should go home.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to do that, but it was just crazy to watch, like, and I could hear gunshots and stuff like that, like, and I was like genuinely like, and here I am with my little 380 in my purse, my little pink pea shooter that I have.
Yeah.
I'm like, if something happens, I'm like, I'm ready.
Yeah.
Like,
but yeah. So you're worrying about the world outside, and then
and he's
your little guy,
and he's still not. I mean, he wasn't. I don't even think he was walking around yet. No, he wasn't.
He wasn't walking at that yet?
No, he was. I mean, recovering from the surgery.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
because he was running around. Like, he picked it up quick. Yeah. So what is the now the third? Is that the third and final?
Yeah, that's for him. I think unless something happens, like he's before each surgery. Well, not the Norwood, but the Hemi-Fontan or the Glen or the Fontan, they're supposed to get a heart catheterization done to check pressures in the lungs and all this other stuff, but he didn't need them. They did an MRI on him before they did the heart cath this last time, and they're like, he doesn't need a heart catheterization, which I'm so thankful for, but because that's just something else they have to go through before surgery. And he didn't need, which is weird because they typically need that catheterization to check things out, to see if anything needs to be opened up or ballooned or whatever, but he didn't need it.
Wow.
So, and everybody's like, that's weird. And I'm like, I trust what the doctors say. So
He's gonna relate because you're a huge superhero fan. He's gonna relate so heavily to Tony Stark as he gets
he
older.
he likes Iron Man. He's a big Spider-Man fan though right now. So
Because once he gets older and realizes that like Iron Man's thing in his chest literally keeps him alive, and like because if the shrapnel gets to his heart, he
Right.
dies. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
he's a little Iron Man.
he is,
A little
and
Tony
that's the theme of his first birthday we had for him. It was it was his first birthday. Yes, because we didn't do anything for a second. Well, we did, but it wasn't a big thing.
Yeah.
But my mother-in-law made an Iron Man cake for him, and it said, Iron Man Alex, and then it had like we were trying to find a light to put in the middle of it, but we couldn't find things, so she just made it look like
They
one.
have T-shirts you can buy where the you can it has like a little switch in it.
Oh,
Yeah, if I find one, I'll send it over to you.
okay.
Yeah, that's crazy because he's like the fact that he's in a superhero is like
He loves.
I'm not gonna have kids, but if someone brings their kid, I'm like, let's talk superheroes, kid. Like,
He will.
I'm a giant
Emily
girl.
will.
Yeah.
So
Now, is there as he gets older, is he on the list for like a new heart, or is that something?
that's if something happens, if he goes into heart failure, and that's the only reason. If not, he'll just live with what he has.
Yeah.
The typical life expectancy is like 40 years old.
It's not terrible.
No.
I mean, I'm also someone who's 30, and I'm just like, I don't want to see 60 or 70.
Right.
So, but I mean, he's already been defining odds this far, and we don't know how much medical science is going to go
right.
from
Yeah.
now till
That's
then.
so.
They're using stuff now and creating 3D printer hearts and shit.
Yeah. There's a lot going on with that stuff.
Yeah.
So it's something to keep our eye on.
In probably another 3 years, they're going to be like, we're going to do a surgery, but instead of this, they're going to put in a chip and you can check it from your iPhone. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be at that point soon. We're just going to be like, your oxygen levels are down, take a pill, and then
Right.
Jetson style.
He doesn't have to have his oxygen monitored as much now. During his first and second surgery, he had to be weighed every day, and he had to have his oxygen checked twice a day. And when they're like 2 months old or whatever, 2.5 months old, something happens where they get just low iron in their blood or whatever, and it typically doesn't affect other babies because they can handle it, but with him it affected him, and we had to go down to CHOP, and he had to get a blood transfusion to help with bring his oxygen levels back up. So
jeez,
yeah, we twice between surgeries we were taken down there by ambulance. So
yeah. He's been through the ringer here.
So he hasn't had any hospital stays since, and I mean he's doing well. He only he'll get colds, like the rhinovirus is a big thing, which is just your upper so that
have you been worried with the pandemic with the COVID? And I mean that's more of a breathing thing, but obviously your lungs and your oxygen levels and stuff there.
He had it,
Yeah.
and he was fine. He had a fever that very first day, and that was it.
Yeah,
and he was fine.
Yes.
Thankfully, I'm glad, because they say there are a lot long-lasting effects, and they're not sure how it affects heart kids.
Yeah, we don't really even know.
Yeah,
We're still figuring stuff out.
So, he did fine. I mean, you would have known he was sick.
Yeah.
So
now, obviously, he's only 3, so this is way for. But did they ever say growing up, obviously sports and stuff is probably going to be a rough.
There is, he's a guy. He's 24, 25, and he does MMA, and he has hypoplastic left heart syndrome. Yeah, he does MMA.
Well, does he have the same thing, the little bump and everything?
Yeah, I don't think he has the bump, but I really hadn't checked his chest. But he might. I don't know.
Brian, teach this kid a guitar or keyboard or something. Brian Todd, if you're listening, Brian Todd, just get him into music. Stay away from sports.
They love Toolshed Jack.
Yeah.
Oh my word!
Yeah, keep him into arts. Keep him into arts and stuff. Listen, sports are terrifying.
He runs around my house, him and Emily, jumping off furniture, yelling Brian Todd, because you know what Brian does in the shows?
He jumps off the...
Yeah, he gets up on furniture and jumps off of it. That's what my kids do. And they yell Brian Todd.
Yeah.
Yeah. So...
yeah, it's... Oh, man. That's...
So Emily said she wanted to learn how to play the guitar, but she wants to learn the bass guitar.
Bass guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, Joel or Steve-O? She's like, Steve-O.
Okay. Yeah. Singing lessons. Save from sports.
He's probably going to play soccer. I mean,
it's a lot of running, though.
I know.
It's a lot of running.
But there are kids.
Did we just flash?
Yeah.
Huh?
That happened last
Did
night.
we lose internet? Wait, can you guys still hear us? Am I still streaming? The whole house is...
Maybe it wasn't.
Please do not chopping things off home. Give us a thing in the chat if you guys can still watch us. Everything just flashed here, so I don't know I don't think we lost power for long enough for it to go
When I
out,
was
but-
watching the Patreon episode, our power, I don't know, what was it, 5, 6, 7 times, just kept flashing on and off last night. And I'm like, so then it was good for a while. And then it did it again. And I'm like, I really don't want to take the kids and go, because I have to go to my sister. I mean, I could go to a hotel, but
Yeah.
take the hour drive and go to my sister's.
Yeah.
house,
So
but-
here's a quick question for you, and it is kind of off topic. How did you come across the podcast?
When I met you at the Black Diamond last year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
So I remember we met there, and I'm telling you about the podcast, but I didn't know if you watched the one we did with Keith. So that was the first time, Keith Collins.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. That was a while ago.
Yeah.
I think you were one of my first merch. Like when I made the merch page, I think you were the first person to buy like a Bangin' Beers one
Oh,
too.
nice.
Yeah, you've been a super huge supporter.
And I tried. That's what I do. I mean, it's good to help out.
I wish, like I said, I was that person. I still am that person. I go to like a local show and I'm like, you guys have merch or a T-shirt or something I
Right.
can do. So I wish, I always say that I wish there's more people like us in the world, but it does mean a lot, like the Patreon and buying a T-shirt and stuff. So I do appreciate you. I mean, you have a Toolshed Jack tattoo. Like you have, like, and this
is Brian in there?
yeah, like this is not a knock to Brian or Toolshed Jack, but like I don't think there's anyone in the world who has like, and when I say this, it's not in a disparaging way, like
Right.
a cover band tattoo.
Right.
I don't think it's. There's not probably one other person in Cool County.
It's funny when like people ask, I'm like, oh yeah, no Toolshed Jack. I'll tell you about these guys. So,
Yeah, they're a great time. You can never go wrong in a Toolshed Jack show. They're a fun time.
No,
But yeah,
they played at our house last year in August.
you have a Don't Spoil My Boilo tattoo. Like
Yeah.
you are the epitome of support.
Right. You should He was like,
Everything is still good. Okay, thank you, Brent. He's talking about the power. But yeah, anything else with the like in the story that we missed out that you want to talk about?
No, we covered it all. I mean, he has to be not like monitor, but we watch him all the time. Like I keep a baby monitor on him still with the video because, you know, I'm not.
Obviously you don't anything.
I'm always.
Yeah.
Can't ever tell, but I'm always paranoid. Like
You go in
I'm
there and put your
always-
finger on his nose.
yeah, like and I watch like I look to see because sometimes he'll bury his head under his blankets or under his pillow, and I'm like, dude.
Yeah.
I'm like, take that stuff off. You know, so
He's
I go
just
in there.
comfortable that way.
Yeah. So, but no, like I mean, I constantly have anxiety about him, but I can't.
How much of I mean, because he's only 2 or 3. So how much of like is he? I don't know if that's TV or a siren going off. How much of is he aware of that he has a heart issue?
He knows, and he knows. Like he didn't for this last surgery. He's like, I don't want to have surgery. Like, because I think he kind of remembers from like the last times. Like, you know, not that he can convey it from last times, but like remembers it, and he hates, like I said, hates anesthesia. He knows it's coming. So they had to like the first mixture they gave him. Just the basic stuff to like the silly juice didn't work. So they had to give him something extra, which worked. But I mean,
when I was a kid, I didn't like the mask. Like when they remember they used to put the gas mask on you? I would freak out. I hated it.
He had to have that done. And that's when we figured out he needed something else to calm him down before they did that. He was getting a sedated echocardiogram of his heart down in Danville. And that silly juice didn't work, and he was still awake when they were putting that mask on him. And I was bawling my eyes out because he was crying, and I was standing there while it was happening. And like, I just wanted to take him off and just be like, we're going.
Yeah.
Because this isn't even worth it.
I had a situation where they went to put the mask on me, and I guess the smell, like I don't know if it's the same way before, but when I had it done, I can remember like that rubber glue smell. It had that thing to it. It might have been the mask itself, like that plastic bag. I don't know, but it had a smell to it, and I knew I was breathing it, and I didn't like it, and I freaked out, and I was a kid, and I just started swinging. I was fighting.
Right.
So then they put me on they strapped me down to a board.
Oh, God.
So now I'm strapped down. They're sticking this thing. And I'm like,
Right. Yeah.
and I'm a kid freaking out.
It's traumatizing.
And I remember like I got older, and I guess it was like on my charts that I did that before. So they're like, all right, we're gonna put you down now, and then they just like they jumped me. It was like a prison thing where they just they strapped me, and I'm like, what the hell? Like, I'll be good, I promise. And they're like sticking the mask on. And then I got older. I'm like, can you just give me a needle? And they're like, well, we do this because most kids don't like the needle. I'm like, I prefer the needle than you fighting me and beating me up and strapping me on a board and then
he
sticking
drank it. It was a cocktail. We had him drink it, so he just
stick a needle in my arm, give me
that's
whatever.
what they did
to
when
put
I had
me
my
out.
tonsils out. Yeah.
Yeah, just put me out.
That happened fast. She put that. I didn't even know she put the needle on the thing, and I was like, oh, all right.
I like to do the. I'm not doing it. I'm not going out. I'm not.
when they did that for my tonsils, like they put the thing in the IV or whatever. I'm telling you, it was literally seconds. I had no idea. I didn't even know she put it in my arm, and I was out.
Oh, when
I'm
she just had her surgery, and they gave her the stuff, and she was. I mean, all right. Full disclosure: I've only seen my wife drunk a handful of times, but I've never seen my wife high. That was hilarious. She was cooked.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, she did not do very well when she came out of it. She was throwing up and stuff.
Oh, see, that's what my
She's
father.
Like, I don't feel good. I'm like, yeah, you're not gonna handle this really well.
My father-in-law gets that way with anesthesia. So, but
we pay for Jen for a billboard spot in her arm. So, anything else you want to talk about or wrap up before we?
Was there a question? Somebody had a question.
The question was, how was his diet? Like, does he have any diet restrictions?
No, actually, he doesn't. After this last surgery, he had to be put on a low-fat diet just for a few days because it's something called chylothorax or whatever, where fat gets in the blood.
Yeah, I mean, you probably should be careful as he gets older, like to not gain weight and stuff, because obviously, like, the deck's already stacked against you. You gotta be a little.
He eats. I mean, he likes his chicken nuggets, his mac and cheese. So I don't.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not criticizing here.
But other than that, no. I mean, I probably will as he gets older. Hey, you're not gonna be eating his French fries as much, they don't really drink. They drink a lot of water with the juice mixes in them, which I'm happy about.
Mm-hmm.
I try not to give him soda a lot, so only because that's not good all around. But I mean,
Well, we'll give you guys a couple minutes here. I know there's a little bit delay in the stream, but we'll banter here. But if you guys have any other questions, we're gonna wrap up here in a couple minutes. Throw some questions out. Debbie says my grandson is one tough little man.
That's my mom.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey, Mom.
We'll put that up there. So we can do these fancy things so you can pop people in.
Yeah, but like I said,
Lisa said our big hero is a little body.
Yeah,
I like it.
That's for certain. The toughest surgery I think is the last one because they're older, and he wanted to be out of bed.
He was more aware.
He was, and he wanted to be walking around, and he had the drainage tube was in for a while because he just it was draining. So the more active, obviously, he was, the more it drained. But we're kind of shocked because he had it in on it was a Friday, and they're like, oh, we'll see how it goes, and there was a lot of drainage that day, but they're like, oh, we're gonna take it Saturday morning. Like, oh, we're gonna take it out, and you guys could go home. And I'm like, what? I'm like, I don't know if I'm comfortable with this, but he went the following week and they checked for any fluid buildup already because there was a chance that it's happened. The drainage tube coming out, going home, and then going to your appointment, and then having fluid, and they have to go back in and reinsert that tube, which I was really praying.
Brian says here, how frequently are his checkups?
Right now,
does he need checkups?
He just had one. Wednesday? Was it Wednesday? No, Thursday. He had one Thursday. And it was over the phone. So but he has to go in. She wants to see him in the next his cardiologist. I love her. Dr. Golden is her name, down in Danville. She's been seeing Alex since he's a newborn. So she's been with him 3 years now. Very good with him. She loves him. He loves her. But she wants to see him in the next 2 to 3 months to have an echo done to check flow and all that stuff. Because the last he hates, which they aren't really bad, but he hates them because he doesn't like the doctors. Mm-hmm. So, he just lays there.
All of his experiences aren't very good.
So laying there, he just doesn't like it. So, and I don't want to have another sedated echo because, like I said, he
doesn't do very well.
He doesn't. So, she wants to see him in 2 to 3 months to check out blood flow, stuff like that. But other than that, it's been yearly. It'll be yearly because he's doing, so well considering. So, yearly. It was like every 3 months, and then it was like every 6 months. And then she was like, well, I'm confident that we can, do this yearly now. So he's not followed too closely now, which is nice. Yeah. We're not going to the doctor as much. So.
It's a crazy thing. It's an experience. We will post some photos. We'll take the photo at the end of you, but anything you're comfortable sharing, we'll put on the Instagram and stuff. And just send me also the actual name of the disorder and stuff.
Okay.
We'll do like little hashtags so I know people who can relate to the story or something. I think it's been a long time since I had a podcast like this because I know I interview a lot of people who more or less talk about like their business or their pages or their music, which is fun. I really enjoy it. But it's coming back to what interviews was again. Like we're hearing people's stories, and it's not easy to come and tell these stories, and your experiences and traumatic, and they don't, and it could be any story. Obviously, this is a success story, but I appreciate you coming in and doing this and being a supporter of this, and it means a lot. Starting this, I mean, obviously, going back and redoing all the episodes and seeing them on YouTube and seeing how we went from the camera being here to that, and then shocker, if I take all these curtains down, it's still the kitchen.
I never, honestly, I never knew it was your kitchen until I came here.
Really?
Yeah, no, I would never. I thought you were in your basement.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you watch earlier episodes when this wasn't all up, it was like there's like the cabinets and the microwave is all there, so it was like literally like the microwave was in shot, and then it was like maybe we can make it. We can trick the audience.
No, I definitely
truth behind the illusion, and plug there and hang up all this stuff. But it's come a long way, and closing in on 100 episodes, which is really exciting. So while we have you here, we'll do a little plugs to our futures. Next week I have Adam J. Kramer coming to the show. I should probably real quick so here's the thing too. So if you come on the show, I'm not ignoring you. I try to learn a lot about the topic as I'm sitting down here doing this. So if you're listening, like there's no prep to this. We like on my end, and the reason I do that is I'm not trying to dig your research and stuff. Like I want to learn as we go, and I want to have natural conversation questions. So for people who don't know, but anyway, Adam is he was born in Pottsville and he grew up in School County and North Cumberland area. He played in a few bands. He knows Tyler from Condition Oakland, who's been on the show a couple times, and he's been doing a pretty strong connection between the music scene down here in the Rochester and Buffalo, New York area. And he does his own podcast, and we're gonna talk about his stuff next week, and that'll be next Saturday around the same time. So I try not to. I probably should promote more when I'm having somebody on the show, but I like to keep you on your toes. Like if you're going to get an interview, it's going to be on a Saturday. So we might just surprise, bang, we're live. And then the following, so this is 98. That'd be 99. And then episode 100 episodes in 3 years. We did it. It's going to be Brian Todd, who's actually in the chat, is going to be our episode. And we didn't plan this. I said, I'm not going to schedule who's going to be the 100th, whoever the first one if we just book them in order. Right. And it could have been. It almost was you.
You know what? And it would have been really interesting because CHDs are 1 in 100.
Yeah.
Like so, and this is CHD. Well, the 7th. What's the day? The 7th?
Yeah.
No, tomorrow. The 7th through the 14th is CHD Awareness Week, but typically we celebrate it the whole month. And I went all out this year. Well, for Valentine's Day, and we put up decals in the house and some hearts and stuff like that. I didn't really do it beforehand, but now that he's older, he knows a lot more. So I put up like a Happy Valentine's Day sign, and there's window clings all over the place. And I'm sure my mother-in-law loves it. She came out and I'm hanging hearts everywhere. And
window clings. That says 90 like a Windows cling.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah. So episode 100 will be Brian. He's going to come in and talk about music, and he's been on. I was going back through the old episodes. He was on like Not Cool in High School episode. I think it was still called Things That Were Not Cool in High School.
I have to check that out.
Yeah, the show even had a different name. It was called Things That Were Not Cool in High School.
Oh wow!
And then we dropped the things that were. I just kept Not Cool in High School. But yeah, he was on that, and we had him on. And then he's going to come on and talk about his recent garage band thing he's been doing, where he makes cool music, and the Boilo song, and then the new song that's out.
Oh, my kids love the Boilo song too.
The Stairway to Heaven. Brian's Stairway to Heaven. It's a 12-minute song. So he's going to come on, and we're gonna hang out. Not sure if it'll probably be over video. I'm not sure. I mean, you're welcome to come here in person. It's completely up to you, whatever you're comfortable with. But that's going to wrap up for February. And then we're going to be off the 27th. I have nothing booked for the 27th. And then I got some people. I have 2 interviews in March. I think I'm going to try to keep it to 2 to 3 a month. I'm not going to try to do every single Saturday. Right. I think even Bang Your Beers, I think we're going to talk tomorrow and limit that show to two episodes a month instead of doing every single Sunday. Because I need to start spending more time with friends and family. I don't see people. And everyone's like, I haven't seen you in forever. I'm like, because I work Monday through Thursday on night shift. And then I'm sleeping when everyone's awake. And then on my weekends, I'm only doing this. So it's, I don't want to take time away because I really, really enjoy doing this, but I'm neglecting the wife and friends and family. I haven't talked to my mom, and I haven't seen my mom in like 3 months.
We can go out and hang out.
Yeah, we can actually hang out. So yeah, I'm going to, not dialing back, but we're still going to do every Friday will be an episode. But yeah, so that'll do it. Interviews with everyday people. Thank you so much again.
Thanks, everyone. I really appreciate it.
Everyone who hung out and played along and talked. I really, really appreciate it. You have to do it by phone. Not a problem. Well, do you have a webcam? You do like a camera so people can see your beautiful face? We'll talk details. We don't have to do it now. But anyway, thank you guys. Whoever shared, like I said, share this. Tell other people to share it. Let's get more people involved for a chance to win a $100 gift card from
Lisa Brady.
Abaddon Tattoo. And you can get your cool little tattoo. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you guys next time.
Sorry for being so sorry all of the time. So sorry for being sorry all of the time. So sick and tired of sorries all the time. So sorry for being sorry all of the time. But I can't never drink it again. Apologies.